The wealthy son of a Hollywood mogul goes missing after some peculiar changes in both behavior and friends, to never be seen again. What happened to Adam Arthur Hecht, and why was he never found? Let's discuss on this week's Peculiar Occurrences. Adam Arthur Hecht was born on August 6, 1965. The fifth of 6 children born to Hollywood mogul Harold Hecht. Adam grew up in Beverly Hills, California, living a truly fabulous and privileged life. He attended and graduated from Beverly Hills High School and made his money as a tennis instructor. He was described as a bright and independent but friendly individual. When Adam was 24 years old in 1989, his family started noticing a visible change. He had become disenchanted with the wealthy lifestyle that he had grown up with and had started getting into things like meditation, especially meditation up in the mountainside. On January 10th, 1989, Adam met with his brother Harold, who was named after their father, so I will call him Harold II. Him and Harold went to breakfast, and outside they had spotted a homeless man who was blind in one eye. They went on in and started to eat, but Adam could not take his attention off of the homeless man. So during their meal, Adam excused himself and went outside, and his brother watched through the window as Adam spoke for a while with this homeless man. Oddly, once Adam returned, Harold II had asked, what did you guys talk about? But Adam refused to tell his brother what they had spoken about and just said,
it's nothing.
And they went on and continued to eat their breakfast. Then on their way back out of the restaurant, Harold II started to walk towards their vehicle, and he noticed Adam had left his side and went over and spoke to the homeless man again, who had said his name was Tony. Once they were done talking, they parted ways, and Adam went on with his brother and such. But within a couple of weeks, Adam actually ended up inviting Tony to come and live with him. His brother Harold said that at this point he was obviously disillusioned and no longer happy with his pampered lifestyle. Shortly after Tony started living with him, this is when Adam's family really started to notice the change in Adam's behavior. Adam started to accompany Tony out on the homeless parts of LA, out in the streets of Hollywood, and also started doing some strange mystical rites with Adam, ones that the family believed that Tony had made up. In one such rite, he had his hand, some sort of mark burned into his hand. This was all according to Adam's mother, Martine. And she said that Adam had claimed that the burning of his hand was supposed to be some sort of test of endurance. At this point, everyone around Adam could see that Adam was starting to listen and do whatever it was Tony was telling him to do. And to the point that he actually started bringing Tony to family functions. He soon brought him to a big family dinner with his mother, where his mother made a comment that his friendship with Tony seemed very strange. During the meal, it was cited that Tony started waving his hands over his food as if he were blessing it. And though Tony seemed strange and such, and Adam's mother wasn't really sure why he was being friends with Tony, she thought they still somewhat had a good relationship at the time. Adam would stand up for his relationship with Tony to his mother and the rest of his family, stating that the relationship with Tony was healthy and that Tony was helping him to mature as a person. On June 7th, 1989, Adam was last seen leaving in a rental car while his own car was being repaired. On June 10th, after not hearing from Adam in a few days, Harold, Adam's brother, made his way over to the apartment where he found Tony, but no Adam. He asked questions about where Adam was, but could not get a straight answer. So he forced himself into the apartment, and Adam was nowhere to be found. After a few more days, Adam's mother grew very worried, so she decided to go to the apartment for herself where she found Tony, and again could not get a straight answer. So she started to leave, and Tony decided to follow her out of the apartment building. He threw one arm around her and started blowing kisses at her, going,
Give us a kiss.
or so the mother claims. Adam's mother claims that she was terrified in that moment, and she replied with,
Where is my son?
and Tony replied to her with,
I am your son.
that part gives me the creeps, especially with all this magic ritual thing going on. I don't know, it's just creepy. Now after this is when Adam's family finally filed a missing persons report and took steps to get Tony evicted out of Adam's apartment. On July 9th, Tony finally got evicted from the apartment, and he made no efforts to avoid the police whatsoever, and he was completely cooperative with them, and the police deemed that he knew nothing about Adam's whereabouts and he no longer was a suspect. 2 weeks later, Adam's rental car was found on the side of the street in Beverly Hills and was covered in parking tickets. But Adam again was nowhere to be found, yet there was many of his belongings within the car, including his wallet, his driver's license, all of his credit cards, and a few $100s in cash. According to Lieutenant Robert Curtis of the Beverly Hills Police Department, he said that they had a vague idea of what might have happened to Adam, that he had a history of disappearing for days at a time, and that they believed that's what happened this time, that he may have left on his own accord, but may not be returning on his own accord. However, Harold II, and most of the rest of his family refute this claim. His brother, Harold II, was noted saying that he had a very solid business. He was very active with a number of different people on a number of different levels, and for him to just disappear like this was actually very out of character. In response, Lieutenant Curtis stated how investigators essentially had no evidence to connect him with any sort of foul play or any other criminal involvement as being responsible for Adam's disappearance. As a result, Adam's case was deemed nothing more than another missing persons case. And then, 1 year later, after Adam had disappeared, Harold II ran into Tony on the streets and started to ask him about Adam's fate, when Tony gave a very peculiar and cryptic answer, telling him,
You just stay one night on these streets and you'll find out the fate of your brother.
was this a threat of some sort, or maybe just a joke from a cynical man, or even a clue that Tony knew of Adam's whereabouts? On October 17th, 1990, Unsolved Mysteries aired an episode about Adam's disappearance. It appeared in the 5th episode of the 3rd season, which brought renewed attention to this case, but did not come up with any tangible tips. As of 2019, this case remains unsolved. As well, Tony has never been seen or heard from again. Adam had black hair, hazel eyes. He stood at 5'11", in height and weighed 160 pounds. He did also have burn marks on his right hand. And it is unknown what he was wearing at his time of disappearance. Okay, time for theories. Theory 1. Adam, feeling disillusioned by his privileged life and getting to know Tony, decided to go and live on the streets for a while, see how the other side lived, and may have fallen to foul play. Theory 2. Due to Adam's changes in behavior, perhaps Tony had introduced Adam to some sort of drugs, which led him into some trouble. Perhaps he overdosed and his body was discarded or buried or hidden somewhere by drug dealers or other people who had been with him at the time that he had passed away. Theory 3. Due to the strange rituals that Adam had gotten into with Tony, some believe that perhaps Tony had been some sort of priest of some sort of religious cult and had talked Adam into joining. And perhaps in this theory, perhaps Tony had actually hidden Adam away and sent him away somewhere while he stayed behind and in a way cleaned up the mess. Now, these are the 3 theories that I have personally found floating around the internet. If you've heard any more than this, then let me know about it down below. Adam would now be in his 50s and is still missing, with absolutely no trace to where he could have went. If you happen to think you know anything about Adam Hecht, I will leave the phone number for the Beverly Hills Police Department in the description box below. This one really gave me the chills. I found it to be very, very peculiar. But I'm really torn about which theory it could be. Since he left his money and stuff in his car, I don't think he owed any drug dealers any sort of money or anything like that. Perhaps the overdose, but definitely not the money, or his money and credit cards and such would have been taken. I want to lean more towards the cult theory, personally, because of everything he had been doing with Tony, or maybe something worse, but I don't know. I want to know what you think about this peculiar occurrence down below. And while you're down there, don't forget to check out my description box for your peculiar occurrence merch. We got some really great stuff. As well, throw a like on this video and comment. Let me know what you think. Share this out to all of your peculiar friends. And if you're new here, I would absolutely love to have you as a part of my peculiar squad. So hit that subscribe button and that little bell so you know when I upload. And until next time, keep your eyes peeled for all things peculiar. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook and all of the social medias. Me, I'm on it all. See you there.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.